Family, have you subscribed to the channel? If not, what are you waiting for? Please press the red button and don't forget to like, share. So today we are going to talk about MAVUSO Msimangu, the ANC veteran.
I couldn't go to the DA. They don't seem to know that 1994 came to this country. We've just expelled a number of very, I think, good people, Mazibuko, Maimane, and so on. So where are we going? Is there a paradigm in which you act outside of a political party framework? That may be a possibility. It's difficult. I don't know whether but it should be considered. Just like the ANC now, people are talking about Phala. No, Phala happened. I mean, really. How could you keep quiet when somebody in a country that has got so many poor people talks about, no, it wasn't $5 million, maybe $3 million. Gosh, this is sinful, You can hardly give people enough money. You give them $350 and expect them that they will last through the month. This is where we are, right at the top, playing around with millions, not of rand, but of dollars.
I'm happy that Utata Dr. MAVUSO is here. He's one leader that I've always looked at to be a factionalist. I'm sorry to say.
Factionist.
A factionalist. I've always viewed you like that, Tata. And I've always viewed you that you are taking sides in the ANC. As even the current president appears to be scandalous. And our comrades, when they are in podiums, they are even afraid to raise this matter. Like Comrade President Thabo has raised it, and how Comrade Msimangu has raised it.
Okay, you'll be third. Sir, can you please assist? Let's be straight to the point.
No, thank you. I think the program director had already done the greetings and all that on our behalf. Prof, I would have wanted to ask you if it is your view in relation to coalition, that coalitions are positive, or it's an academic reasoning. Because I think I've read Haywood and Dijache when they spoke about the coalition and its negative impact that it has made globally in other countries where they had contested. And also, I'm happy that today we're speaking about Moses Kotane as a renowned leader of the Communist Party. And I've heard Prof. Madoda Fikeni speaking about the whole, the needle, or the eye of the needle that has widened. Moses Kotane being a renowned leader of the Communist Party that sits in meetings of the ANC when there are list processes, how would he have viewed the Communist Party that sits in list processes of the ANC and allows capacity to be removed and be replaced by fools?
Okay.
Furthermore, I'm happy that Utata Dr. MAVUSO is here. He's one leader that I've always looked at to be a factionalist. I'm sorry to say.
Factionist.
A factionalist. I've always viewed you like that, Tata. And I've always viewed you that you are taking sides in the ANC. But to my shock is that he was brave enough, just like President Thabo Mbeki, And I think the likes of Moses Kotane would have loved that we have such leaders in our country who can stand up with any position, because a leader makes a position, but a position does not make a leader. And I would have wanted to ask the Communist Party and our leaders seated there, in the current politics, or in the current environment of politics, how would have Moses Kotane viewed the current state of the ANC? Because it's facing challenges. And when the face or the head is facing challenges, the whole body becomes sick.
Yeah.
So the state of the country is sick, because each and every president that we have had after Comrade President Mandela and Comrade Mbeki, most of them, they have appeared to have been scandalous. Even the current president appears to be scandalous. And our comrades, when they are in podiums, they are even afraid to raise this matter. Like Comrade President Thabo Mbeki has raised it, and how Comrade Msimangu has raised it. I no longer regard you as a factionalist. I regard you as a leader of the society who reasons like Moses Kotane. Thank you.
I'm going to be consistent.
I mean, I wouldn't like, if the ANC really did its worst, I would never go to the EFF. I'm sorry if there are some people there. I mean, I can't go to people who behave like thugs and things like that, you see. I couldn't go to the DA. They don't seem to know that 1994 came to this country. We've just expelled a number of very, I think, good people, Mazibuko, Maimane, and so on. So, where are we going? Is there a paradigm in which you act outside of a political party framework? That may be a possibility. It's difficult. I don't know whether but it should be considered. Just like the ANC now, people are talking about Phala. No, you know, Phala happened. I mean, really. How could you keep quiet when somebody in a country that has got so many poor people talks about, no, it wasn't $5 million, maybe $3 million. Gosh, this is sinful, you know. You can hardly give people enough money. You give them $350 and expect them that they will last through the month. This is where we are, right at the top, playing around with millions, not of rand, but of dollars. Whatever was happening there, and I'm not interested. It doesn't smell good at all. And these paradigms. The ANC, the fate of the president is in the hands of people who are investigating him. And if they were to decide that he actually has a case to answer, who is thinking about what needs to happen? We're going to get one of the vultures who want to be presidents to go and take this thing, or are you going to look for some nice good guys from the ANC and say, move forward, we want you to take power for a short term and let these others become presidents and deputies and NEC, but let's take our country across to 2024 with a credible person who might reinstate the values of the ANC. I've abused the opportunity you gave me. Thank you very much. No.
Thank you very much for that input. I do think that the question of whether ANC should be saved or not, and what happens if it is not saved, I would rather say ANC should work towards moving towards the aspirations of the people rather than the aspirations of itself.
If you live in Canada and are tired of prices rising while your income stays the same, listen up. We've just launched a new
of itself. The issue of populism maybe let me start by responding to Prof. Kotse, the notion of a developmental state and democracy. But I'll put it in a different manner. We could have the best constitution, but if material conditions of people on the ground are getting worse, they will not forever embrace, protect that constitution. Autocracy or populist options or authoritarian systems will become more attractive if they believe that when we refer to the Constitution, we're referring to something intangible. One of the reasons for that is because our main emphasis is on the first generation human rights of Chapter 2 of the Constitution. Right to speak, rights of association, right? We hardly ever talk about the second generation human rights, which talk about providing material conditions for people to live better. The reason we do not do that is because the elite in business, in politics, and elsewhere are afraid to talk about critical trade-offs that should be made for that to be possible, because it disturbs their lifestyle. And yet the second transition ought to start talking about what are those trade-offs? What are those sacrifices that ought to be made so that a person who lives by eating out of a garbage bin while some people are buying 7 cars, 14 properties? It's insane. And we do not realize that the more we allow this inequality, the more suicidal it is. You can't, no matter how many security cameras you have, continue protecting yourself when other people go out without food for days. We can't be healthy when around you have diseases. Until we understand that particular element, people will be driven to the hands of anything if our democratic experiment fails them now. And it's a burning platform. And lastly, I do think that populism, we should not embrace populism for the sake of populism. If I understand as a political scientist what populism is, where somebody promises instant delivery and miracles and use a language where easy solutions are presented for complex problems. Donald Trump was a populist. Bolsonaro in Brazil was a populist who went on to chop half or 1/4 of Amazon. And there are several other populists which are coming up. It's not sustainable because the moment you are thrown in, I would even say Liz Truss in Britain was a populist. He looked for easy answers. No, I'm going to cut this tax. You are going to have these breaks and so forth. And she tried. Within 1 week, the economy was imploding. Because populism sounds so seductive. It has an hypnotic effect. But when you go behind it to check what are the practical things to do, you realize that it doesn't go far. So we must always be careful, even as we're looking for salvation or for messianic leaders. Let's just have a far more nuanced discourse. Elections are coming. Some people will be telling you you'll have 10,000 rands every month, and you never ask from where. Others will tell you from now onwards load shedding will be out if you put me this week, next week. That's the language of populism. But once you extend your mind and look at solutions, look at what has worked and what has not worked, then you begin to become more serious about statecraft. And I just want to end by saying we are at the crossroads, and we must begin to think seriously about answers beyond what we are comfortable with. And South African exceptionalism has almost destroyed us. We refuse to learn from other countries what has worked, what has not worked, because we think exceptionalism, we will always be this unique thing. But at the same time, I do not lose hope, because deepest crises in countries have produced focused mind and solutions. Ordinary citizen now knows that there's nothing called, no, let that money be stolen, it's government money. There's no money for government. It's your pay as you earn. It's your VAT. And if it is stolen, taxes will have to be increased. Certain services will stop to your inconvenience. So now we look at government. This has been a giant civic education to know that once you step back and you look at a distance and say that's government matter, it comes back to you one day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You know, there's something Msimangu said in this video that keeps me awake and think about. Is this ANC a club of criminals? Because they are not running the country. When you look at Msimangu, he once tried to resign from ANC, and he was convinced to come back and eat. And he is eating now. But he's making fun of Cyril Ramaphosa when he himself is eating in the same bowl as the others are eating, while South Africans are suffering. He's complaining about South African being given 350 rands a month, as if that hurts him, when he is still in the same organization that is making all South Africans poor, more especially for the youth. That is through the government of the ANC that has been governing in the country for the longest time, for 30 years in government. But the change that they have brought, it's not significant. Because what they've done in this country, they have destroyed the country. They destroyed the infrastructure. Because of stealing, they make deals whereby it's not necessary. They are not into upgrading the country or the lives of the South Africans from the apartheid time. That's why sometimes people always say, you know, in apartheid time, they used to suffer, but not what the ANC is doing. The infrastructure was up to date and everything. But since ANC took over, they care about their stomach, about the cadres and everybody. They put people in position who have got no qualification, who doesn't know what they are doing. What they are doing there is just to steal the money of the South Africans. You can't tell me that 350 rands can be given to a South African to last for a whole month. What can you buy with 350 rands when they are busy at the same time destroying their jobs? Is Ramaphosa a hired gun to come and destroy ANC and destroy the country? And MAVUSO Msimangu, they know all the secrets, what is happening there. But instead of them stepping back and say, we cannot take it anymore. Because, you know, at some point, I used to listen to Julius Malema that each and every individual is writing his own history. And they will be judged through their history. A lot of people, they hate Malema. Because Malema, when he stick on something, he just mean that. There's discipline in the EFF. But every time, the enemy will always brainwash all the South Africans to think that EFF is the enemy of the South Africans. But at some point, people will realize very late that they made a mess, like the Boers. They realized late that sitting in apartheid was a waste of time. They realized after 1994, a lot of them have become rich, and they wish this thing started long ago, because during the time of apartheid, they didn't have all those things. I'm talking about the apartheid regime. The people who had privilege by then, they couldn't have all the things that they have now. They realized that the apartheid has delayed them a lot, but they have recovered, because each and everybody was pointing land there. This is my land, this is my land, after 1994. When they didn't have any documents of each and every land that they have to date. So now, what I've realized with Msimangu, he's busy mocking Ramaphosa, when he himself is eating from the same bowl whereby Ramaphosa is eating. But he pretends to be the best person. What is that? I think he should look at himself in the mirror and say, you know, at some point, people, they point at others. They forget the four fingers are pointing at them when they're pointing at the other person on the other side. That is the problem. MAVUSO Msimangu mocking there, doing all these kind of things. what difference? What is different between MAVUSO Msimangu and Ramaphosa? There's no difference. They are all eating in the same bowl. Because history, when it judges ANC, it judges everybody in the ANC. Like they are doing with those apartheid regime, that, okay, what the apartheid did to South Africans, to black South Africans, they put everybody in one bowl. Why not when it comes to ANC? For stealing and doing all this thing. Infrastructure is a mess. Everything is in hospitals, roads, it's just potholes everywhere, bridges, until they collapse. Because they don't even have the information when the bridge are supposed to be upgraded. Because each and every infrastructure has got a lifespan. The lifespan of these bridges and everything, they don't, coming to pipes that are running the water, they don't have that. They all care about stealing. That is the ANC for you. I wonder why Msimangu is busy mocking Ramaphosa because of dollars. He himself, he's in the same thing. What do you think, family? Drop your comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bravo, bravo, bravo.